I want to thank you, Lou, thank you, Elise, for inviting me here today to talk to you guys. We're going to talk a little bit about commercial real estate, but first we're going to talk a little bit about mindset. And because all of the things that you guys are talking about today with the planning, right, all of that stuff has to come from and won't work unless you have a great mindset. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. Who am I? Well, like Lou said, I've been a real estate CPA for 30 years. I run a national tax consultancy for real estate investors. My clients are people who buy shopping centers, office buildings, apartment buildings. I'm also an active investor and landlord. I've been buying and selling properties for over 20 years. I did write a book. It's called The Tax Smart Landlord, 39 Tax Strategies for Real Estate Investors. And I've also been a broker for a number of years, mostly on my own properties. And what I found, I got involved in commercial brokerage because a lot of my clients that I were talking to on a daily basis, they all have the same problem. I can't find properties. How do I find good investment properties? And I said, well, geez, maybe there's out of every problem comes an opportunity, right? Okay. So I've got this huge list of clients who are all looking for properties. Why don't I put together a brokerage team and find them, right? There you go. A problem turns into an opportunity. So that's how I got involved in real estate brokerage. So I want to talk to you today about mindset a little bit before we get into commercial real estate, because all of the stuff that you're going to talk about today, it has to come from a good mindset, right? And because you can have the greatest plan in the world, but as Mike Tyson once said, everybody's got a great plan until they get punched in the face, right? And life has a way of punching you in the face when you're trying to do business, right? Okay. So what are my keys to success in commercial real estate? It starts with creating yourself. Who are you? Who am I, right? I have a 9-page document of who I am. I've literally defined this for myself. I'll give you a little read. Who am I? I'm a slim, fit, relaxed, peaceful person who works to live. Now, this is an ideal, folks. This is not, okay? So I know I'm the poster boy for the fact that you can't out-train your diet, right? Okay, I know that already, right? But so slim, fit, relaxed, peaceful person. I work to live and live to play, enjoy hobbies. So I have this all defined, right? I've got the definition of what my real estate business looks like, right? I've got the definition of what my CPA firm looks like, right? So I know, and I created this, okay? I didn't come out of the womb as an expert CPA. I had a plan, right? I started out 30 years ago as working for a big firm. And then I went out on my own and I was investing in real estate and I got invited to speak in front of a group. And I was like, wow, I could probably be a real estate expert. And I used to go to these like real estate investor club meetings and I used to see these tax speakers talking to the investment crowd. And I said, one of these days I want to be the guy standing in front of the room talking about real estate tax strategies for investors, right? Now I am. Now I do 3 or 4 of those kind of presentations a month to investors all around the country, right? So you have to create yourself. You have to decide what you want to be and then work towards becoming that, right? And part of that is defining what does your ideal life look like, right? Because there was a time in my life where I was literally working 70 hours a week. And I'm like, wow, okay, great, I'm successful, I'm making money, but this is not my ideal life, right? I've got an ex-wife to prove that, right? Literally, right? Because I literally worked myself out of a marriage, okay? So you've got to kind of look and say, what is my ideal life? My ideal life is not about work. My ideal life is I work to live, right? And I want to make as much money in as little amount of time as I can so that I can go to the beach and play with my kids and do all the things that I want to do that make my ideal life. So I have a vision of what my ideal day looks like, how it starts, right? What am I going to do, right? Think about the clients you have in your life, the people you do business with, right? I have several clients in the room right now, right? You know what they all have in common? They're all really nice people, right? So that's a criteria, right? They're all go-getter entrepreneurs, right? That's a criteria that I have. When somebody calls me and they've got some, hey, Ted, I'm really a mess and I don't know what the heck I'm doing and, can you help me? No, I can't. Sorry. I really can't. You know what I do? I refer them to my competitors, honestly, because that's what I call addition by subtraction, right? I make my firm better by making their firm worse. I want my competitors dealing with people who are disasters, okay, right? So define your ideal client, right? Define who it is you want to work with, because those are the people you're going to have to work with. Those people are your life. And if they're going to keep you up at night, I have a rule. If I wake up twice in a row thinking about you in the middle of the night, you're fired. I'm sorry. Give everybody your best self every day, right? What does this mean? Who's your best self, right? I'm telling you, you need to define who your best self is, because your kids deserve your best self, your wife deserves your best self, your clients deserve your best self, right? My best self doesn't have that extra slice of pizza on Friday night, right? Tries to keep it to one cocktail. Why? Because I want to be healthy, right? My best self, from a business standpoint, picks the 2 or 3 things that are going to be the most profitable thing I can do that day, and then I do them. You want to make a massive improvement in your business? Pick the 2 or 3 things today that are going to make the biggest difference in your business and do them. My best self is a good listener. Am I always a good listener? You can ask my wife, no, right? I try to be. I try to, when you're essentially, everybody here in this room is a consultant in the real estate industry, right? So what are we doing? We're listening to our clients. My whole real estate brokerage came out of the fact that I listened to a problem my clients had and then came up with a solution for it, right? Finding them properties. Give everybody your best self every day and define that, right? I do what others don't to get results that others won't, right? I don't work to just keep up with people, right? I work to separate myself from people. So as a CPA, I'm always gathering knowledge. I know a lot of CPAs who never look at any articles, never read a book, never do any of this kind of stuff to help them. So when somebody says, oh, there's a new law, I'm always reading new stuff. I'm always learning. Real estate is like the ultimate challenge because everything's always changing, right? Markets change, lending programs change, insurance changes, market prices change, what investors want change, right? All of this stuff is always changing, so you have to work and keep up with all of those things, right? I'm in the gym the other day and I'm working out with my trainer, and he notices that every time he tells me to do 10, I do 12, right? Why? Because I'm doing what other people won't, right? I'm trying to do that little bit of extra. And in your business, you want to do that little bit of extra for your clients every day. I went to school in New Orleans. There's an expression in New Orleans called lagniappe. Lagniappe means a little something extra, right? And it's a sort of a restaurant tradition in New Orleans. If you go out to dinner there, they always give you like a little extra piece of cornbread or an extra couple of shrimp or something like that, right? It's the same thing in your business. You want to go beyond what your clients expect of you and give them that little something extra that is going to make you stand out from the crowd. You want to do something that other people don't? Answer your phone, right? Call people back. You know how many people tell me, realtors, oh my God, realtor, I can't get a phone call back, right? I'm looking for a house right now. I've probably called 8 realtors. You know how many have called me back? 1. Went to look at the house yesterday, right? The other 7 I haven't heard from, right? So do what others don't. Answer your phone, right? Be committed, right? What we were just talking about, having a plan. If you have a plan, it's awesome, right? But if you're not committed to that plan, then every time something bad happens, you're going to want to give up, right? And I'm going to guarantee you that bad things are going to happen, especially when you're in the real estate business, because think of all the bad things that can possibly happen to kill a deal, right? Or you're trying to get listings, right? And so if you're cold calling, my agents cold call for listings, and follow up on leads all the time, right? they hear no far more than they ever hear yes, right? So if you're not committed, if you're not all in on what you're doing, and nothing's going to stop you, you're not going to be successful at it, right? Because you're going to get that punch in the face and that punch in the face and that punch in the face. Every one of those no's is a punch in the face. And if you can't get up at the end of the day with the belt held high in your hand, looking like Rocky Balboa because you just finally got a listing, right? You're doing it wrong, okay? So you got to be committed. Navy SEALs go into a mission, we're going to complete the mission or we're going to die, right? If you knew you had to get a listing in a week or lightning was going to shoot out of the sky and drop you dead, you'd get a listing. This is by far my favorite strategy, taking big shots every day, right? So Wayne Gretzky, ex-hockey player, all-time great, says you miss every shot you don't take, right? How does that apply to the real estate industry? Make those big calls. If you're working in a $400,000 market, make a few calls in the $1 million market, right? I have my agents calling, we do large commercial multifamily, right? I have my agents calling, I've got a guy right now, he's so preoccupied with this 4-family he's selling in Middletown that he's ignoring the criteria that I gave him for a client that wants to buy a $20 million apartment building, right? Okay, what's the difference between the commission on a $400,000 multifamily versus a $20 million apartment building? It's huge. It goes back to what we were just talking about. How do you use your day? Are you organizing your day so you're doing the most profitable thing that you can do, or are you completely wasting your time, right? So take a big shot every day. Make those big calls. So what if somebody says no? You haven't lost anything, right? I do this with my CPA firm. I have my books, right? And I had all these books, and they were sitting in boxes in my basement. I'm like, what the hell am I going to do with all these books? It's, we were just starting with this COVID, stuff. And I had all these books and no more live events. I couldn't hand out my books when I went to stuff like this. So what am I going to do with them? So I started putting them in the mail with a letter to, like, I would see somebody just did a big development somewhere, right? And I'd write a letter, dear sir, I noticed that you just did a big development. Are you looking for a CPA? I'm a real estate expert. Here's my book, right? Sent them out. Did I get some clients? I did. I got a couple. I might have sent out 150 of those, right? I got 2 clients, right? It doesn't matter how many you get, you still got them. The ones that I got have a lifetime value, a 6-figure lifetime value, okay? So take big shots. Progress, not perfection. The goal is progress. Every day we do a little bit of incremental work to make our whatever we're trying to do better, right? Every day I try to make an improvement to my real estate business. Every day I try to make an improvement to my CPA business. Every day I try to get in some exercise so I'm healthy. All of these things are not perfect. I'm not perfect. My businesses aren't perfect, but I'm making progress towards that every day, incremental progress. And that's literally not only the definition of how you become successful, but it's also the definition of happiness, in my opinion, because people who are happy are people who are making progress on their goals, okay? I am a big believer in having a niche, okay? So if you're a realtor, like I'm a commercial realtor, I don't try to sell every possible thing commercially related, right? You're not gonna find me trying to sell an office building. You're not gonna find me trying to lease, a space somewhere. I could care less about any of that stuff. I sell multifamily investment properties to real estate investors, okay? And that's it, right? And there's so much of that you don't need to do anything else. So find your niche, right? I'm a real estate CPA. You call me and you own a candy store. I'm referring you somewhere, right? I'm not doing your tax work, okay? So have a niche and be specialized, and then do what others don't. Learn everything you possibly can about your niche and be the recognized expert in that area. That's how you become super successful in whatever you want to do, right? Energy is everything, right? I was trying to tell this to one of my agents the other day, right? Can you feel that I'm talking to you with energy, right? I'm not going to blah, blah, right? So I'm talking to one of my guys on the phone the other day, and we have a listing right now. It's an apartment building, $20 million. It's a little overpriced, okay? It's at market plus, right? I said, you got to start, calling around, right? And he said, I'm going to call around. And he's like, yeah, I'm trying. I'm saying, well, what are you saying to them? And he says, hi, Mr. Smith, we've got this apartment building and, up in Northern Connecticut, 100 units, it's about 20 million, Class A, I'm like, no. I'm like, that's awful. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Right? I would hang up too, right? So I was like, no, you got to call him and say, hey, Joe, I've got a Class A apartment building, value add in an area you'll love. I know you buy in this area, right? I've got a value add, and I'm saying it just like this, value add apartment building, $20 million. You don't want to miss out on this deal. Do you want to see the numbers? Because that's all I'm trying to get him to do, right? You see the difference? You bring energy to a situation and everything you do is better. If you're on the phone calling for listings and you don't have an energy about you, what are they going to do? Hang up. Why do investors buy commercial properties? Why do they buy investment properties? Well, they buy them for the cash flow, right? They buy them for the appreciation. They buy them to build wealth, and they buy them for the tax advantages. And that's what I do. I help people with the tax advantages of the properties that I'm helping my clients buy. So yesterday I showed a guy a shopping center, right? Does he need a shopping center? No. Does he own any shopping centers? He does not, okay? But the shopping center is part of a strategy to reduce his taxes this year. And the only reason we're there is because the owner will owner finance it, right? Which means he can close before the end of the year, right? So I'm like, you really need to take a good look at this. It's not a bad property. It's market plus, but it's not a bad property. And you know what? If you have a plan to fill a couple of the vacancies, you'll do very well here, right? The tax advantages, right? So there's only a handful, in this scenario, I only want to talk about a handful of the tax advantages. The Tax Smart Landlord actually has 39 strategies, but the big ones are 1031 exchange, right? So I can sell one of my properties, and within a given set of rules, I can turn around and buy an equal or larger property, and I can defer the capital gains on that tax, right? I love those people, right? Why? My clients that want to do 1031 exchanges, they need replacement properties, right? What does that represent to me as a real estate broker? Opportunity, right? I want to be able to find them their replacement properties. Do I want other people finding them replacement properties? Well, I'll take that, but I would prefer if I got the commission as opposed to them, or one of my people got the commission. So when one of my clients has 1031, we want to be the person looking for the properties for them. It represents an opportunity for us. The other reason that people buy properties, the cash flow, is for what's called depreciation, right? Because in an apartment building or rental property, the goal is that I want to have income, but I want the depreciation expense, the depreciation deduction, to bring my taxable net income to zero or below, so that all of the money that I have is essentially tax-free, right? So I can have $10,000 worth of income in my bank account, but I have net loss of $12,000 because I have depreciation expense against that, right? And depreciation is the rational allocation of the purchase price of the building against the net income. So it's a great strategy for creating tax-free cash flow, and that's why investors want to buy commercial properties, for these reasons. So we talked a little bit about these primary advantages. The other one that we're missing is the one that all of you guys can take advantage of, right? Because if all you do is real estate investing, or being a real estate agent, you can qualify as a real estate professional, right? So you guys have so many different advantages. One of them being you're on the inside of the market, right? You see everything that's going on in the market if you're paying attention, if you're doing it right, okay? So if I can qualify as a real estate professional, meaning that I'm going to work at least 750 hours a year in my real estate business, and it's going to be more than half of what I do, then I can take rental losses against my ordinary income that I make as a real estate agent. So I have a commercial agent friend who buys apartment buildings. Last year, he made about $600,000 as a commercial agent. He went out and he bought a $2 million apartment building. The first year depreciation on that building was $300,000. We take that, right, $600,000 is income minus the $300,000 depreciation loss on his building. He only paid tax on $300,000. And in fact, what he ended up doing was taking that 300 and making a retirement plan contribution about 60. So he made 600, but he only ended up paying tax on 240, right? See the power of real estate? See the power of being on the inside as a real estate professional? That's the advantage. We've also done deals where I've actually used the tax strategies to help close deals. So I had these two very stubborn people who one a buyer and a seller, who were literally $20,000 apart on an apartment building that we were trying to broker in New Britain, and we were at a standstill, and neither one of them was gonna go anywhere on the price. And so I called my seller, who was actually a client of mine, and I said, listen, we're $20,000 apart. What can we do here to make this work? How about if we do a 1031 exchange? I don't want another building. Well, how about if I get you into what's called Delaware Statutory Trust Investments? And this is a little over the head, but the idea is that they're just syndicated investments that you can get into that you can facilitate an exchange with. And you own little pieces of properties all over the place, right? Well, that might work. Great. Okay, will you lower the price $10,000? Yeah, okay, yeah, if you do that, I'll do it. Okay, yeah. All right, so I call the buyer. And I say to him, look, buyer, what if I could get you a cost segregation study so that you can maximize the depreciation on your property, and you know that you're going to get at least a $50,000 tax benefit this year off your taxes? Would that make you come up $10,000, please? Right? So we use the tax strategies to close the deal. Now I'm in the unique place to be able to do something like that. I'm one of the few commercial brokers who also has a CPA license, so I can give tax advice if I want to. But those are the kind of things, that's kind of tax strategy stuff that you can use to close deals. What are investors looking to buy these days, right? The hottest niche in the country right now, multifamily residential. Everybody's looking for multifamily residential. I literally have 400 clients looking for multifamily residential all over the country. My goal this year is to build a residential team in every hot market in the country, okay? That's what I'm gonna do with my brokerage. Short-term rentals, vacation rentals, Airbnb. Everybody loves these things. We have a guy in Florida who does nothing but look for these, right? Self-storage, mobile home parks. Mobile home parks, great business. I have a client who's buying RV parks, right? When I saw the numbers of how profitable these RV parks are, I had no idea. I was like, oh my God. He's actually getting like $300,000 at closing because that's the prepaid rent for the following year. So he's already got $300,000 worth of deposits for next year's mobile home park rentals. I mean, that's amazing. Now, so what I didn't know was if you're into camping and you have a mobile home and you want to go to one of these parks like on 4th of July, you book 2024 now, right? Because 22 and 23 are sold out. So just this is what I'm talking about learning the real estate business, right? I never knew that. Multi-use, residential and retail, right? People like those. Shopping centers, industrial, white hot. You're in an area where people want to buy industrial, man. Investors want to. Office buildings, somewhat less unless they're medical. So how do we sell investment properties, right? Well, the first thing we do is we literally have our client list. We have all of these people who want to buy properties, right? And so what we do is we basically ask them what they're looking for and where, and we make them be specific. What are you looking for? Be specific. I'm looking for Class A wood-framed 100 to 200 unit buildings built in between 1990 and 2000. What specific? Why? Because then we can go and use the tools we have to run lists of those buildings where we can find out who the buyers are, and then we mail them and we call them and we follow up with them, right? Before we ever do that, we pre-qualify those buyers. We make sure they have money, right? Because I get leads all the time where people are like, yeah, I want to buy an investment property. Okay, you got any money? Right? Oh, no. Sorry. If you can't show me proof of funds, why am I going shopping for you, right? And it's the same thing, it's the same thing with the residential stuff, right? Pre-qualify your clients. Man, don't take people for rides all day. That's all you're doing if you're doing that. So then we target market sellers. That's all we do. We call them, we mail them, and we say, look, I've got a buyer. We do it with energy. I've got a buyer who's looking for a property in your area, right? And is willing to pay market price and is guaranteed to close. Would you send me your number so I can show them to them and see if they want to make you an offer? The pitch that we use, you'd almost have to be, you either have to just have bought the property or you have to be stupid, not to be, not to want to, do business that way, right? So we get a lot of good response that way, right? Now, a lot of people have a dream price. And if they say to me, I've got a $20 million building, but I want to sell it for 24, sorry, you got to be in the realm of reason, right? You can't be nuts about it. You can't, we have qualified buyers, not stupid buyers. You got to build relationships. So part of what we're doing is we're talking to people every day, building relationship with people. This is a people business. You guys know this, right? So that's where being your best self comes in, right? People do business with people who they like, right? And so if you're likable, you're the guy who they're going to call or the woman they're going to call when it's time to do a deal, when they want to do something, right? Build relationships. One of my agents just got this listing, right? He's been talking to this guy for a year about selling his property. Calls him every month. How are you doing today? Let's talk about real estate. Not, do you want to sell your property? Let's talk real estate. What are you up to these days? How are things going? What's your vacancy rate, right? All of this stuff. Are you a buyer or a seller these days, right? And if you don't want to sell, do you want to buy? Because we'll add you to your list and then we'll go out and try to find you a property, right? So you work it both ways. Follow up. That's what got one of my agents this one deal, was he just relentlessly followed up, being committed, doing what you're saying you're going to do, doing what other people won't do, right? That's how all that plays in. You want to get an agreement, obviously, with your buyer and seller so you get paid, right? These days, commercial, we're selling everything we can list. We don't co-broke anything. We do an email blast and we sell it. That's the process. That's the big selling process, right? Very complicated, because we have that big list. So anything we can find, we just shoot out with the numbers and we sell it. Before we do that, we usually prepare an offering memorandum or a flyer, which has all the information on the property. And then we send it out to our buyers list. If somebody says, yeah, I would like to see that, after they've approved the numbers, because they already like the numbers and they already said this looks like a good investment, right? Now I want to see it. Only then do you actually get to go visit the property, right? Big time saver. How many of you guys have taken buyers out shopping all day, right? Who didn't even know what they wanted. You present an offer in the form of a letter of intent and you see if you can get it accepted. It's really that simple. And then there's a negotiation in between, right? Once you get it accepted, your client has to do the due diligence. You help them do the due diligence, right? I help my clients do the due diligence. You've got to manage the steps to closing, right? Just like you have to do with a residential transaction. And then you close, and then you get paid. Woo! Right? That's what it's all about, right? And typically, it's going to be, a pretty large amount of money, because the commission on a $20 million apartment building can be $1 million, right? So it goes back to what we were talking about with the success stuff, and I won't go back through this again, but if you do all of these things and you apply these things to your business, you are going to be successful. There's no way you cannot be successful. If you do the right things over and over and over again, consistently on a daily basis, there is no way you cannot succeed.